How could a world-famous sports icon be treated like someone who can't afford to pay in a luxury restaurant, only to leave the entire room in shock when the truth is finally revealed? Everyone inside the luxurious restaurant suddenly turned their heads because tension exploded out of nowhere, as if time itself froze, when a tall athletic man wearing a bright red jersey with the number 15 sat down at a polished wooden chair holding a burger in his hand and staring in confusion at a waitress who was pointing directly at his face with an angry expression, her voice rising so high that it echoed across the room. "Hey, you cannot sit here if you can't afford to pay. This place is not a roadside diner. This is a 5-star restaurant. So pick yourself up and leave before I call the manager." And instantly, the whole room stiffened. Some people looked at each other in shock. Some covered their mouths. Others secretly lifted their phones to record, while the man in the number 15 jersey paused for a moment, frowned deeply, and replied in a calm but firm tone. "Excuse me? What did you just say? I don't understand why you're talking to me like that." Yet the waitress stood her ground, her voice sharp. "Don't think I don't know. I've been working here long enough to spot the difference between real customers and people trying to sneak in. Look at what you're wearing. You show up to a place like this in a jersey, not even in a suit. Clearly you're not the kind of person who can handle a bill here." And at that very second, the atmosphere shifted. Whispers spread like wildfire across the tables. "That's number 15. I swear I've seen him on TV." Someone muttered. Another leaned closer. "Wait, isn't that guy a quarterback? Like, really famous?" But the confusion still lingered because some didn't recognize him immediately. The athlete just sighed, his voice rising with contained frustration. "Listen, I came here to eat quietly. I don't appreciate being treated like this. You don't even know who I am. Why are you accusing me of not being able to pay?" But she cut him off again, harsher than before. "Because I've seen it too many times. People come, order food, and then run out without paying. I won't let this restaurant be cheated tonight by someone like you." Her finger still pointing, cheeks flushed red, and the room now fully focused on the standoff. Tables silent, a few chuckling nervously, others too stunned to move. And from the back corner, an older man whispered to his partner, "If I'm not mistaken, that's Patrick Mahomes, NFL quarterback, Kansas City Chiefs, one of the most famous athletes in America." But his words didn't reach her. The waitress was locked in her own certainty, and Mahomes, hearing his name uttered, exhaled harder, his face a mixture of disbelief and irritation. Then with a steady but pressing tone, said, "Okay, if you insist, maybe you need to check before you accuse. I didn't come here to cause trouble. I'll pay for everything I order. I'm not who you think I am." But she pushed again, harsher than before. "Because I've seen it too many times. People come, order food, and then run out without paying. I won't let this restaurant be cheated tonight by someone like you." Her finger still pointing, cheeks flushed red, and the room now fully focused on the standoff. Tables silent, a few chuckling nervously, others too stunned to move. And from the back corner, an older man whispered to his partner, "If I'm not mistaken, that's Patrick Mahomes, NFL quarterback, Kansas City Chiefs, one of the most famous athletes in America." But his words didn't reach her. The waitress was locked in her own certainty, and Mahomes, hearing his name uttered, exhaled harder, his face a mixture of disbelief and irritation. Then, with a steady but pressing tone, said, "Okay, if you insist, maybe you need to check before you accuse. I didn't come here to cause trouble. I'll pay for everything I order. I'm not who you think I am." But she pushed again, harsher than before. "Because I've seen it too many times. People come, order food, and then run out without paying. I won't let this restaurant be cheated tonight by someone like you." And silence fell, broken only by the low hum of the air conditioner and the shuffling of other waiters frozen in place, until someone at the entrance whispered, "Can you imagine a man with a $500 million contract being accused of not affording a meal?" And the comment rippled like a shockwave, phones lifted higher, some already streaming live to social media with captions rushing in, "Unbelievable! Patrick Mahomes just got kicked out by a waitress in a luxury restaurant." And the entire scene unfolded raw and unfiltered. The silence after Patrick Mahomes spoke hung like a heavy curtain in the air, every eye fixed on the confrontation, when suddenly a man in a dark suit with a gold pin on his lapel rushed in from the back hallway, his expression sharp yet calm, clearly sensing the tension before even understanding it fully, and his voice cut across the room with authority. "What is happening here?" As he approached the table quickly, eyes scanning the waitress, then Patrick, then the frozen guests, and before Before anyone could answer, a woman at the next table blurted out, "Your waitress just accused him of not being able to pay. She tried to throw him out." And the manager frowned, turning toward the waitress. "Is that true?" But she, still caught in her certainty, stammered, "Sir, I thought he wasn't supposed to be here. He looked out of place, and I wanted to make sure." But before she could finish, Patrick raised his hand slightly, his voice controlled but piercing. "You don't need to explain. She already made it clear what she thinks of me. Maybe you should check first before humiliating your guests like this." And murmurs swirled around the room, some people already saying out loud, "That's Patrick Mahomes! How do they not recognize him?" And the manager's eyes widened. He looked closer, recognition dawning instantly as his lips parted. "Oh my God, Mr. Mahomes, I am so sorry. I did not realize. Please forgive this unacceptable behavior." And he almost bowed as he extended his hand in apology. The waitress freezing in place, her face draining of color, realizing at last the enormity of her mistake, her mouth opening but no words coming out. And the guests erupted in hushed astonishment, some shaking their heads, some chuckling at the surreal absurdity of it all. But Mahomes didn't smile. He only leaned back, folded his arms, his voice carrying both disappointment and grace. "You know, it doesn't matter who I am. This isn't about being recognized. It's about respect. No one should be treated like they don't belong just because of how they look, jersey or suit, rich or poor. Everyone deserves dignity." And the words cut through the room like a sermon, silencing even the whispers, leaving only the heavy thump of realization in every chest, especially the waitress, who now looked utterly broken, tears pooling in her eyes as she whispered, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I shouldn't have judged you. I thought I was protecting the restaurant, but I was wrong. I humiliated you in front of everyone. Please forgive me." Her voice trembling, her shoulders shaking, and the manager, still beside Patrick, added firmly, but with regret, "There is no excuse for what happened here tonight. Mr. Mahomes, and on behalf of this establishment, I offer my deepest apologies. Your meal is on the house, and this will never happen again." But Patrick, shaking his head slightly, said with calm finality, "It doesn't matter who I am. This isn't about being recognized, it's about respect. No one should be treated like they don't belong just because of how they look, jersey or suit, rich or poor. Everyone deserves dignity." And the words cut through the room like a lesson etched in fire, some people clapping quietly at the courage and wisdom in his words, others simply nodding in solemn agreement, while the waitress now wiped her tears and said again, "I'll never forget this. I promise I'll do better. I'll treat every person with the same respect, no matter what they look like." Her voice almost breaking, and Patrick finally gave a small nod, his eyes softening. "That's all I ask," then stood slowly, his presence towering yet calm, and extended his hand toward her, the gesture shocking everyone, for it wasn't anger that lingered, but forgiveness, and she hesitated before grasping it, her hand shaking in his, a moment so raw and human that it silenced the entire restaurant into awe, the manager's face a mixture of relief and reverence, and someone whispered, "That's why he's not just a great athlete, he's a great man." And phones continued recording, but the energy in the room shifted completely from tension and humiliation to inspiration and respect. A story that would be shared again and again, not because of the mistake, but because of the grace in how it was handled. As Mahomes finally looked around the room and said with a smile, "Enjoy your meals, everyone," before returning to his seat, picking up his burger again as if nothing had happened, while the waitress quietly excused herself, tears still falling, and the manager remained nearby, ensuring no further disruption. But deep down, every person in that restaurant knew they had just witnessed a moment that transcended food, fame, or money. A reminder in real time that respect and humility are the true luxuries no restaurant can afford to lose.